The 2026 World Cup isn't just another tournament, and I think deep down every single football fan already knows that, even if saying it out loud makes it feel too real. Because this one's different. This one's the last one. Not in the sense that football is ending. Not in the sense that the World Cup stops after this. But in the sense that the people, the actual human beings who made us fall in love with the sport more than any others, are playing their final chapter, right now, this summer, in stadiums across the United States, Canada and Mexico. And when the final whistle blows on that last game, football will never quite look the same again. So let's talk about it. Let me take you back. Not to a specific year, not to a specific tournament, just back. Back to a time when football had two names that meant something different from everyone else. Two names that weren't just players, they were events. Messi and Ronaldo. You already know who I'm talking about. You've known them for 20 years. Lionel Messi, the little kid from Rosario, Argentina, who looked like he shouldn't be on the same pitch as grown men, and then proceeded to make grown men look like they never played football in their entire lives. 8 Ballon d'Ors, the 2022 World Cup, more than 900 career goals. A player so gifted that the word dribble barely covers what he does. He doesn't dribble, he dances through people. And then there's Cristiano Ronaldo, the boy from Madeira who turned himself into something that shouldn't be physically possible. 973 career goals, 5 Champions Leagues, a body that still at 41 years old refuses to accept that time moves forward. He's broken records that were supposed to last forever. He's broken records of the records he broke, and even now, he's still going. For nearly 2 decades, these two men dominated everything. Every Ballon d'Or ceremony felt like their awards show. Every Champions League felt like another episode in the greatest rivalry in football history. Fans argued endlessly about who was better, and honestly, that argument produced some of the most passionate, ridiculous and wonderful conversations football has ever had. And year after year, they kept delivering. Just when you thought they were slowing down, they would do something that made you rewind the clip 4 times. Just when you thought the story was over, another chapter. The bicycle kick in Turin, the free kicks that somehow curled through the exact gap in the wall, the dribbles where Messi just went through people like they weren't there, the nights that made millions of people jump off their couches and lose their minds completely. That was football for an entire generation, and now, one final World Cup. Here's the thing about Messi going into 2026. He already has one thing that used to feel impossible: the World Cup, Qatar 2022, the greatest final in the history of the tournament, the comeback from 2-0 down, the penalties, the tears, the trophy. If you watched that final and didn't feel something, I don't know what to tell you. But what's incredible is that after all of that, after achieving literally everything, he's still here, he's still playing, still showing up for Argentina. And going into this tournament, he has 13 World Cup goals, more than any active player on the planet. He just needs 4 more to become the all-time leading scorer in World Cup history, overtaking Miroslav Klose's record of 16. He's also 2 assists away from equaling Pele's all-time World Cup assist record. Records that seem untouchable, and he's right there. But here's what I think matters more than the numbers. Messi has said multiple times that he's going to retire from international football after this tournament. This is it. This is the last time you'll ever see him wear that Argentina shirt in a World Cup. And knowing that, watching every match, knowing it might be the last time, that changes how you see every single moment. Every dribble, every free kick, every time he drops deep and picks up the ball and you just watch, waiting to see what he's about to do. All of it carries more weight now. Because this is the final chapter of the greatest player many of us have ever seen, and we're living it in real time. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's just acknowledge what's happening here for a second. This man is 41 years old and is playing in his 6th World Cup. His 6th. And he's not alone. Messi and Mexico's Guillermo Ochoa are doing the same. 3 players at the same tournament, each playing their 6th World Cup. No one had ever done it before, and this summer 3 of them are doing it at once. That alone is absurd and completely on brand for Ronaldo. Over the last decade, Ronaldo has been declared finished more times than anyone can count. Every time he moves to a new club, every time people say the goals will dry up, he proves everyone wrong. He scored 5 goals in World Cup qualifying for Portugal. 5, at 40 years old. And yet, the World Cup itself has always been the one thing that stayed out of reach. He's never made the final. His 8 World Cup goals feel somehow less than what you would expect from someone with 973 career goals. And this, 2026, is the last real shot. Could you imagine a Ronaldo World Cup run, a Ronaldo final, a Ronaldo with his hands on the one trophy he's never touched? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying that the possibility alone is enough to make this tournament unmissable. He's also in reach of becoming the oldest goal scorer in World Cup final history, if Portugal goes all the way. Another record, another milestone, another chapter in a career that was never supposed to last this long. But that's the one thing about Ronaldo. He doesn't care what's supposed to happen. He never did. And then there's Luka Modric. And I need you to stop for a second and actually think about what this man has done, because I think sometimes people forget. He's 40 years old. He will be 40 years old at this World Cup. And he's still Croatia's best player. He was at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, won the Ballon d'Or that year, breaking the Messi-Ronaldo duopoly for the first time in a decade. Dragged Croatia to a final they had absolutely no business reaching. And in 2022, he did it again, led Croatia to 3rd place, again making everyone look at the tiny Adriatic nation and go, how is this happening? His 5th World Cup, in 2026, at 40 years old. There's something beautiful and a little heartbreaking about Modric at this tournament, because unlike Messi, he doesn't have the World Cup. Unlike Ronaldo, he doesn't have the massive individual records. What he has is something different. The respect of every serious football fan on the planet. The reputation as one of the most elegant, intelligent midfielders who ever played the game. When Modric plays his last game at this World Cup, because this is definitely his last one, football loses something that quietly ran through everything for 15 years. The guy who made you appreciate a position most people don't even think about. And I think when it's over, a lot of people are going to realize how much they were taking him for granted. Now this one. This one is a story all by itself. Neymar Jr. For the longest time this summer, the question wasn't whether Brazil would win the World Cup. The question was whether Neymar would even be on the plane. He hasn't played for Brazil since October 2023. He suffered a terrible ACL injury, carried off on a stretcher in tears, and spent what felt like forever recovering. He left PSG. He signed for Al Hilal and got injured again after 2 months. He went back to Santos, the club where it all started, and for a long time it genuinely looked like his international career was done. But then, May 2026, Carlo Ancelotti reads out the Brazil squad, and when he says Neymar's name, the reaction is wild. Videos of fans going absolutely insane went viral across the internet, because Neymar is Brazil's all-time top scorer with 79 goals, because he's played in 3 World Cups and scored 8 times across them, because the version of Neymar at his peak, the flair, the dribbles, the moments that made you rewind just to watch again, that player felt born to win a World Cup with Brazil. Is he fully fit? Not exactly. He arrived in camp with a calf injury and there are still questions about where he is physically. But he's there. And if he steps on that pitch and reminds everyone of what he's capable of, that alone could be the biggest individual story of the entire tournament. Because this is Neymar's 4th World Cup, and almost certainly his last. At 34, with his body having been through everything it's been through, this is the final shot. And for Brazil fans who've been dreaming of that 6th star for over 2 decades, the idea of Neymar being there, actually being there, feels like one last chance to make it happen. But here's the thing. While all of this is happening, while the legends are preparing for their final chapter, a new generation isn't waiting patiently in the wings anymore. They're already here. Kylian Mbappe. If there's one player who was built for exactly this moment, it's him. 12 World Cup goals already, at 27 years old. He scored a hat-trick in the 2022 final and still ended up on the losing side, which might be the most uniquely painful experience in recent World Cup history. He watched Messi lift the trophy, and you have to think that image is burned somewhere deep in his mind going into 2026. This is his tournament, not the young kid playing alongside veterans anymore. The face of France, the player the entire world is watching. And with 12 goals already, he is genuinely one good run away from becoming the all-time leading World Cup goalscorer in history. And then there's Lamine Yamal, 18 years old, Spanish, already a European champion, already considered one of the most exciting young players the sport has produced in years. The tournament is being held in North America, but for a Spaniard with the whole world watching, this could be the moment he announces himself in a way that makes even people who haven't been paying attention sit up and say, okay, who is this? Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr, Pedri. Players who grew up watching Messi and Ronaldo, who had posters on their walls, who dreamed of being them, and who are now becoming the names that the next generation puts on their walls. They're faster, they're younger. They're hungry in a way that only people who haven't won everything yet can be. And this summer the spotlight might be about to be handed over. That's what makes the 2026 World Cup so uniquely fascinating, so emotionally complicated. Because it's not one story, it's two stories colliding at exactly the same time on the same stages in the same tournament. You have the legends, Messi, Ronaldo, Modric, Neymar, playing the final matches of careers that defined an era. Careers that shaped how millions of people around the world understand what football can be. And you have the heirs, Mbappe, Yamal, Bellingham, Vinicius, playing the first matches of what could be the next era. The players who will be the names in the next generation's conversations. Past and future, in the same group stages, in the same knockout rounds, potentially in the same finals. Think about how rare this actually is. Usually a generation transitions slowly, gradually. The old players fade and the new ones rise, and there's a blur in between where you barely notice the handover happening. But 2026 is different. The handover is happening right now, in real time, in front of everyone. And the old guard isn't going quietly, they're going out swinging. Let me ask you something. When did you first watch football? When was the first World Cup you actually remember? The first time a match made you feel something you couldn't really explain. For a huge portion of football fans alive right now, Messi and Ronaldo were already there when they started watching. Already dominant, already legendary. They grew up in a world where those two names just existed, like they'd always been there and always would be. For those fans, and I think I'm speaking to a lot of you, this World Cup isn't just a sporting event. It's the end of the only football world you've ever known. That feeling is real, and it's worth sitting with for a second, because when you watch football this summer and you see Messi pick up the ball somewhere on the left side and you watch how defenders move away from him before he's even done anything, just out of pure instinct, you're watching something that took 20 years to build. A reputation so enormous that it lives in the body language of everyone around him. And when you watch Ronaldo stand over a free kick, still doing the same run-up, still doing the same stance, you're watching a ritual that an entire generation has grown up seeing. That Ronaldo free kick stance is as iconic as anything in the sport. And this summer you might be seeing it for the last time. That's why this tournament feels different. Not because of the number of teams, not because it's hosted across 3 countries, not because of the bigger stadiums or the longer schedule. It feels different because we're watching the final pages of a story we've been following our entire lives. Every generation believes its era is the greatest. Every generation thinks their heroes are irreplaceable. Maybe this time they're right. Because we genuinely will never see 2 players dominate a sport simultaneously the way Messi and Ronaldo did. Maybe the Modric level elegance in midfield is a dying art. Maybe a Neymar, someone with that combination of skill and showmanship and pure joy, comes along once in 30 years. Maybe this truly was a once-in-a-lifetime era. But football always finds new stories, new heroes, new moments that nobody sees coming and everyone talks about forever. That's the thing about this sport. Just when you think you know what it's going to give you, it surprises you completely. And that's what makes 2026 matter more than any World Cup in a long time. For a brief, beautiful, unrepeatable moment, the past and the future are sharing the same pitch. The legends get their final chance, the next generation gets their first, and somewhere in the middle of all that, football happens. The beautiful, chaotic, emotional, impossible game that billions of people around the world never get tired of watching. When the final whistle blows, when someone lifts that trophy, when the confetti falls and the cameras find every face in the stadium, football will never quite look the same again. The players will change, the rivalries will change, the conversations will change. An era that defined millions of fans, that shaped how an entire generation understands greatness, will officially be over. And years from now, people won't just remember who won the 2026 World Cup. They will remember what it felt like to watch it. They will remember that they were there, even if only through a screen, for the last time. The end of football's greatest era, and the beginning of whatever comes next. Because whether you're a Messi fan, a Ronaldo fan, an Mbappe fan, a Neymar fan, or simply someone who loves football, you're about to witness history one last time.